Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Messy Monday, which means we are doing something with mixed media every Monday. And I wanted to give myself a plug here, as well as the Scrapbooking Fun Summit and MK and 29 awesome presenters that will be presenting on paper crafting, cards, scrapbooking, mixed media. I will be presenting on some acrylic paint. I'm actually going to be using paint for Messy Monday all month long, one kind of paint or another. This is the lineup of presenters that are going to be presenting, and then there is a little sneak peek of all of the projects that they are going to be working on and presenting as well. It all starts June 4th. If you have not signed up, there is a link down below in my description box that you can go and sign up. If you sign up in the first, I think it's 20 minutes after you sign up. So if you sign up, it's free. It's free from the 4th to the 8th. And you have 24 hours to view each presentation. If you are somebody who likes to take a little longer, you should sign up for the VIP package. If you do that in the first 20 minutes of when you sign up for your regular free membership, then you get a bit of a discount on it. And I don't know what the cost is right off the top of my head right now, because I know the price goes up the longer that you wait. So there is that. Anyway, I'm also playing along with Series 18 of 30 Days of Sketches. The sketch that we have today up in the corner there is from somebody I cannot even read the name of. I am so sorry, you guys. It is very small on my screen, and I just cannot remember. It's Eve, and I just can't remember where she's from. Caledonia Paper Crafts. So Eve from Caledonia Paper Crafts. I will try to remember to put the link down below for her Instagram. In case you're wondering what I'm doing here, I'm using the hexagon stitching template from MK's shop, some assemblage required. And I am using my glass mat and a whiteboard marker to mark out the piece that I just cut using MK's hexagon template. And the reason that I am marking that out is because I want to see how it's going to fit on a 12 by 12 page, and if I need 3 or 4 of those, because I'm actually going to be stitching it, and I'm going to be using that hexagon template on my page, but I wanted to kind of preview it to make sure that it was going to work and that I got it kind of lined up accordingly. So what I gathered from the mess that I made with my whiteboard marker on my mat was that I needed about 1.5 to 2 inches from the sides. I think I went with, I can't even tell you right off the top of my head, but I did measure. And then, pardon me, it's about 1 inch from the top and the bottom. And I'm just marking it with a pencil so that I get it lined up straight, because that's going to be a little harder to do with the template itself rather than rather than using my T-square ruler there, because I want these arrows to go straight up and down. Now, the stitching, is it perfect? Probably not. It is. I did use the template and I did stitch according to the template. Did I get it lined up perfectly? Probably not 100%. But that's okay. It's close enough, and I really like how it came out. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do on the background for mixed media at this point, but I knew I needed to go ahead and poke my holes in it, because if I'm using mixed media, which I am, there's a potential that it's going to warp my paper, and then it's going to be harder to get some nice straight arrows. So I'm going to do my piercing first, and then my mixed media, and then my stitching. And I'm going to have to wait for it to completely dry between the stitching and the mixed media, because I don't want to try to do some stitching on wet paper where it's going to have the potential to tear the paper a lot easier. So if you're wondering how I'm getting these arrows, I'm following the straight line. So I've got the point, and then you can kind of see the diagonal line. I chose how wide I want those arrows to be, and then I followed the holes in the template to go straight across instead of back towards the point that is on the right or the left, or which is currently the top and the bottom. I don't know if that made a lick of sense, you guys, but it's really not that hard to do. Once you kind of have the template in hand. It's very hard to explain though. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize that was going to be a challenge. Now the stitching in the areas where I kind of had to follow the line going straight out, they're a little bit further apart, and am I okay with that? Yes, I'm not super particular. So my mixed media, I'm just using acrylic paint. I am using this yellow, which I think is just called Amarillo, and I think it's a Delta Craft. And then the orangier yellow is a Dilutions shimmer paint, and it is called Pure Sunshine. And I don't want really great coverage. I want it to be a little bit messy. I want it to be a little outside the lines. That's totally okay with me, because I am going to do the stitching on it, and that's going to make those lines nice and bold, so that it doesn't really matter. Now, had I thought about it, I would have gone and erased my pencil marks before I did the painting, because once the paint's down, it's very hard to erase the pencil marks, and if your line is not directly above, like your stitching line is not directly lined up with the pencil mark, you're going to see the pencil mark, which there's a couple of spots where you can see it, but I try to just overlook that and not worry about it too much, because there's not much I can do about it at this point. But note to self, erase your pencil marks before you put your paint down, because there's not really any big reason to have the pencil marks there at that point. I've got the stitching as a representation of where my border or my outline is going to be, so I didn't really need to have that pencil mark there. So while I get some of my embellishments figured out, I did mark down where my photograph is going to go, and I'm also kind of noting where putting down my washi tape, because there's no sense in stitching underneath that. It's just going to make it so that it doesn't lay nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and do that portion, and I will do the stitching after I get the bulk of this area taken care of. These are just old washi's out of my stash. They're nothing fancy or new, not even a brand name that I know of. So I did not get this white polka dot quite high enough. Once I got my other piece layered on top, I realized I needed to make it a little bit taller. And then I'm stretching my my film strip here to fit a little bit better and be a little bit longer. I'm liking how that's looking so far. This is just a photo of the little guy that I take care of. His face is just, he just is adorable in this photo. So this is one of the days we went to the local kids museum, park and zoo. And so they have a couple little rides that they can ride, and he loves this ride. He loves to ride it backwards, and that's what I'm documenting today. It's just a cute picture of him and documenting the fact that he likes to ride it backwards. They do have seats forward facing and backward facing, and he always picks the backwards, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because he's still in a rear facing car seat, and that's what he's used to, but he really enjoys it. And he's making a really cute face, and we recently cut his hair, so his long baby curls are no longer there, and so he looks like such a big boy in this photo. I apologize that you can't see it. I do cover it up for privacy purposes, to honor his family's wishes. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my stitching. I'm going to do a back stitch. I apologize, you're not seeing all of this on screen. I think you'll see a little bit, but I don't make you watch all of it because it is time consuming. It didn't take me a lot of time, but for video purposes, it is time consuming. I also did trim down the edges of my paper just a tad, because I'm going to back the entire thing with some black paper. That's going to kind of hide that stitching in the back side, and it's also going to create a nice black border around the outside. And I'm going with just about maybe 1/8 of an inch reveal. It's not very much, but it does make a difference. So yeah, that's what I'm working on there. While I do that, I want to remind you that there are a bunch of people playing along with 30 Days of Sketches, and That's going to be happening all month long. So go and check out the playlist down below for 30 days of sketches, where you can see all kinds of inspiration, not just using this sketch, but any of the sketches that have come prior to this sketch. And then, it's the same playlist throughout the month. So you can check out sketches that are, or layouts that are being done down the road for sketches down the road as they come up. So yeah, you might want to keep track of that, but they will be in my videos, although I will not have a video every day this month. I am also preparing for 31 days of cut files, so I've got that kind of going on in the background as well, where I am cutting cut files. MK and I are both cutting cut files, so that we will have kits available to purchase over on her site, Some Assemblage Required. So that's taking up a bit of my time as well. So anyway, I am using this All in Create die set. It is, I think it says number 26 there. I don't know the name of it, but it is dies that do a border. They also do a couple of rectangles that are really distressed, and I didn't use the rectangles. I'm just using one of the borders. I cut two of them. I wasn't 100% sure which one I was going to use, so I cut two. One's a little bit bigger than the other, and I think I end up going with the smaller of the two. In case you're wondering about the chipboard letters there, I did distress the edge of those using my distress tool from Some Assemblage Required, and the chipboard letters, as well as the other chipboard pieces, they've been in my stash for probably at least a decade. They've never been opened, never been used, and in fact I had recently put them in my get rid of pile. And then as I was making this layout, I thought, oh, I could probably use those letters because they're really playful and fun, and I'm sure there's probably something in that set that I could probably pull out. And sure enough, I found several pieces here that I was able to use, and I was really happy to go ahead and get those on a layout rather than just get rid of them and have them in my stash for so long and never use them. So I am pulling out some dies from Elizabeth Craft Designs. I don't know if these are still available or not. If they are, I will put a link down below for them. But I pulled some arrows that I thought would work really well. So I really like this arrow, that kind of this corner arrow. And then I'm going to pull out a traditional arrow as well. I thought I might use that little, I don't know what it's called, file folder top. I don't know. Clip. It's a clip, I think. I thought I might use that, and I thought I might use the other label that looks like a rectangle that has a point on it. Those don't make the cut. I really kind of have a hard time with those kind of little arrow flags. So yeah, I didn't use that. And I don't end up using this little clip either. I think it was just too much for the page. I think it's called a bulldog clip. Anyway, I do end up using those two punches you see over to the right hand side that have those chevrons on them. I don't know. Those are really old, you guys, and I got them from somebody else. So I don't know. I'm going to venture to say they are not available. Yeah. I'm just going to say they're not available. And I really don't know why my camera is zooming in on its own. That is a mystery to me. This phone is new, and I did find out why it was taking so long for video to upload and why it was all choppy on my screen. In fact, it's choppy again. So maybe the setting keeps getting changed, but it keeps trying to film in 4K or 8K. I'm not sure which is causing it to do weird things when it gets brought into iMovie for editing. So my apologies if things look a little funky or it's doing this weird zoom in bit. I did pull out some Postbox Red Dilutions shimmer paint, and I am painting up these black pieces because I felt like they were just a little bit too harsh. I don't really have anything that harsh on the page aside from the thread and the ticket punch that I used, which is an old punch as well from Little B, and that punch is Little B is not even in business anymore. So I know you can't get those, but anyway, yeah, I am just, the zooming in is going to drive me nuts, you guys. I don't know why it's doing that. So yeah, I apologize for that. Yeah, weird. Okay, so I thought those were just really heavy on the black, and I wanted to add a little bit of shine and shimmer to them, and so I am just painting them with a little bit more of the paint. I will paint this black arrow as well. You can see I'm painting it here with that same Pure Sunshine yellow, but because it's black, it's going to be a little bit less bright, which is fine. I kind of like the way that it looks. And then I'm going to put some red on those other chevron arrows as well as a little yellow. And then I'm going to add a little stitching on top of these arrows also. Liking how that is coming together. I don't normally use a water brush for that, but I am at a friend's house, so that's why my desktop looks a little bit different. And it is probably not my first choice. I would have probably not used it with the water to do this technique because it's making my paint a little bit runnier than I really wanted it. And also there's more chance of it warping. The acrylic paint dries relatively quickly on paper, especially if you dry brush it on. If you're not using a lot of water, it dries very quick. You can also apply it with a credit card. It's a great way to apply acrylic paint, and maybe I'll do that later in the month for you guys, where you just pick it up and slide it across your page, and it makes some really cool, it's a really cool technique. And like I said, it dries really fast, but using that water brush was preventing it from drying really quickly. And so I was taking a chance by doing my stitching here. The only reason I decided to go ahead and do it while the paint was, well, the paper is still wet. The paint's not wet, but the paper's still a little bit wet. But because there's two other layers of paper with the white paper and the black paper behind it, I felt like I wasn't going to risk the chance of ripping it by adding my stitching while the little die cut piece was still a little bit damp. So I don't recommend doing that if that's your only layer. So yeah, that's just a little note because it will rip. I also don't recommend painting it while it's already on your paper and you've done all of this other beautiful work. It was a calculated risk that I took to go ahead and do that, and it's not something I would probably recommend. I am going to go ahead and stitch on those chevron pieces as well, and I just kind of free-handed where to put my holes. I apologize that you don't really get to see that. The first one I didn't get my point as pointy as I wanted, so I took the stitching out and I punched another one and put another chevron right over the top and redid it. There was no way for me to really fix it otherwise because the holes were already poked in it and I just didn't get them quite at the right angle. And I like that it's corrected because the other two look better. So you'll probably see in the close-ups, if you're looking at that first red one, it's not quite pointy enough. You'll see in the close-ups that it's changed. Now I don't add a lot of journaling or any journaling to this on screen. I will do that separately. I did add a little splatter in Medieval from Dina Wakley acrylic gloss. And that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below. I will get back to you as quickly as I can. I do really appreciate the time that you take to like and comment on my video. And if you're not subscribed, I hope that you would consider subscribing as well. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I'll be back again real soon with another one. See you then. Bye-bye.